At this very moment, terrorists could be plotting another attack.
9/11 triggered a counterterrorism surveillance system like never before.
Who is in charge of making sure that critical information doesn't fall through the cracks?
Including a secret database to track suspected terrorists.
You have no meaningful process to clear your name in something you have never done and will never do.
Over 20 years, it's evolved into something far bigger.
This is a misuse of the power. This is a violation of the Constitution.
There's the door, like a prisoner.
This is a slow form of torture.
The government knew pretty fast that we had a significant problem because 2 of the 9/11 hijackers were known to parts of the government as early as late 1998, early 1999, and eventually they got onto airplanes.
Help us understand, what is a terrorist watch list?
We want to ensure that we're encountering people at the earliest possible time if they may be a terrorist. And so it doesn't mean they're a terrorist, doesn't mean they're inadmissible, but it means there's something that has led a department or agency to say, this person needs a closer look.
I mean, this is huge.
Yeah. There was no way we could buy enough analysts, and so it had to be a combination of young analytic talent and technology. And that's been part of the constant evolution of this enterprise.
Enterprise. That's what this is. A lot more than just a list. The terrorist screening dataset is part of an entire galaxy of secret systems and programs. CBS Reports reviewed a trove of government documents and court records from the last 20 years to piece together how expansive it is. Terrorist watchlisting is run by people from half a dozen government departments with the highest classified clearance. They share lists of suspects with more than 60 foreign governments, 18,000 American federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies, and countless companies, from private security contractors to airline workers.
The watchlisting, screening, vetting enterprise is as close to sort of the ideal information sharing environment, I think, that exists within our government.
When it launched, there were 120,000 known or suspected terrorists on the list. Today, CBS has confirmed the watch list now has approximately 2 million people, including thousands of Americans.
The first thing I need to say is this. I think that mainstream media, the fact that mainstream media, that CBS is covering the abuses of the watch list is a huge, great thing, because they were not touching this with a 10-foot pole. And even though it doesn't go into the targeted individuals or any of that, still it denounces the abuse that the watch list represents for innocent people that have absolutely no ties to terrorism. So they talk about, in fact, it's titled The Watch List. And as I mentioned to you before, in the research I carried out with all the documents that I've been reading, both audit reports and the documents produced in the El Haiti versus Cable case, the watch list component of the TSDB is handling codes 1 and 2, which is the known terrorist and the suspected terrorist. So this, when the reporter in this case says that he has corroborated that the watch list is comprised of 2 million names and identities, what that tells me is that we have severely underestimated the amount of targeted individuals that there are, because the watch list part, as of the audit reports I have read, the watch list part comprised only 0.29% of the entire TSDB. So just do the math on that. If that 0.29% has blossomed into 2 million people, so how much is the other 97%? That's one thing that I want you to keep in mind. The attorney for ACLU that appears, she says something, she's so concise, so perfect, and so beautiful. And she goes, you have no meaningful process to clear your name regarding something that you have never done and will never do. And that's just, it's just perfect. It's just 7 seconds of perfection. It's the best quote in the entire, for me, in the entire video. Also, it is important how one of the creators of the TSDB that when you look at him, you know, he just looks like he came out of a Dick Tracy movie, but the evil guy in the Dick Tracy movie, I don't remember his name. Well, he says it's an enterprise, it's a business, you know, and that's what exactly that was like a Freudian slip, because that's exactly what the TSDB is a means for people to earn money without doing anything other than harassing and stalking people. You can be from the chair, from behind your screen, hacking people like the InfraGard people do, and following people around in your car and getting 20, $30 for that. God knows how many it is that they get paid for. It is interesting that the reporter doesn't even begin. He's even aware of the fact that there is two subcategories of the TSDB that include completely innocent people that don't meet the reasonable suspicion standard. Of course, he doesn't ask about it because he doesn't know about it, because he hasn't bothered to read TJ versus Garland, like most mainstream media. But I have to commend him that he did, as it pertains to the watch list, he did an okay job. Although I wish he would have covered the recent challenges to the watch list, which is the FBI versus Pfizer, which is in the Supreme Court, and that is news, and the Kovac v. Ray, which is in the Fifth Circuit, and that is news. So he just leaves it in a limbo, like, oh yeah, the man that appears in the video filed a legal challenge, but he doesn't talk about all the prior legal challenges and the current legal challenges that are so viable. So kudos to him for tackling on the subject, but there is still a lot more work to be done. And in the Substack newsletter, it was interesting. I urge you all to send an email to those producers, very respectful, and don't make it about yourself. Make it about the illegality of including innocent people on the terrorist database, and for reporters to press the agency, the Terrorist Screening Center, that Mr. Glashin didn't have the guts to be on camera. He just sent a written statement. For them to force them to answer the questions, because the mainstream media, if they are waking up to the reality that innocent people, including infants, are being placed on this terrorist database, it is time to act. It is time to denounce the illegality and the atrocious obliteration of human and civil rights that's going on. So they don't have to go into the fantastical. Please don't. Just write to those people and let them know that there is so much more that they have to report on. That's my plea to you. You know how I'm always saying, what did you do today to end your targeting? Here's a great idea. Write an email to each and every one of those very respectfully and make them aware of the silent Holocaust the targeted individuals live through here in America.